Hello and welcome to another edition of Unmanned Uncovered, brought to you by Consortiq, here to help you take your drone program to new heights. Search Consortiq, that's Consortiq with a Q at the end, .com. I'm your host, Bryn Lucas, and joining me on the podcast this time is a man who not only flies drones, but also drives powerboats to a level 2 license capability, and he also founded Airwards as well. We've got a lot to get through, so let's get on with it. Richard, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks very much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Now, I think the first thing to do, rather than talking about Airwards and how it came to be and all the rest of it, how you came to found it, let's talk about you first of all. So can you give us, I suppose, a bite-sized look at your career to date?
Yes, I'll give you the hop, skip and jump version rather than boring your listeners for
the
half an hour.
The Olympic hop, skip and jump version, please.
Yes, exactly. Olympic, right. So I started off, I grew up in, no, I won't. I had 3 years in a company called Augusta Westland Helicopter Company at the time, then spent the best part of 6-7 years co-running my old business, which was a digital agency here in London, and mixing up everything. Then did a bit of consulting with startups, and one of those happened to be a drone company, and really mixing it all together. I saw that there were a lot of expos, a lot of white papers, people saying that England was the best place for drones. No, it's not. Australia is. No, it's not. Zimbabwe is, bits like that. And from my experience in the digital industry, really going, okay, there didn't seem to be anything that was recognizing positive drone use through, an accreditation scheme, a recognition scheme, an award scheme. And I thought I'd only had the idea for about a year, but it transpires a friend of mine told me last year that I'd had the idea for about 2 years. So getting on quite a while. And I think everybody's CV is going to have at some point, COVID hit and lost clients, lost work. And I lost all of my freelance work and sat there just thinking, okay, let's do this. Let's see if it's something that the industry wants and needs and is going to bring some good to it. So
the idea was percolating, was it? The idea was percolating in your brain for a while.
Yes, it was. Just also how to do it, what's done. I know the trepidation that people have of award schemes, that it's all about the biggest sponsor coincidentally gets the award, or one of the judges' companies got the award or something like that. So I put a lot of work into really building up the ethos, the mission, the vision, the foundation, the ethics, the EDI drivers right at the start, to try and make sure that it's a new industry. There's a lot of trepidation about drones. You add onto that trepidation about awards, and I just thought, no, this needs to be done differently. And that was it, really. So this time last year, I think I started thinking about it, and we've been going 9 months, end of August.
A successful 9 months so far as well. Now, if we can just rewind a little bit. So you started off working with a helicopter company, really, and it looks like here from your CV, you've got a PFCO drone pilot license. You've also got a coastal RYA powerboat level 2 license as well. So it's not all air-based stuff for you then.
I can also play the recorder. So,
yes, get in. Can you play Three Blind Mice as badly as me, though?
Did anyone learn to play it well? We need to find them.
I think that was the whole point. If we teach everyone to play Three Blind Mice badly, no one will ever play the recorder and we'll all be safe.
Exactly. I quite like the company I was at was Vitamin London, and it was amazing and fortunate enough to be at the kind of forefront of what people were doing technology-wise, the app revolution, the responsive revolution. And so I've always had a bit of an affinity with technology and its use, and probably not an early adopter. I was one of the first people to use Uber, one of the first people on Tinder for all my sins. I just like to see how technology can be used to improve what we're doing, to benefit the world, to change it, even if it isn't to benefit it, but just to push it forward into new ways.
So not necessarily a love of drones and UAS and things up in the sky. It's an enjoyment of technology, really, that you have.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about using drones is, and I've said it, so it's not like I'm trying to hide anything, that the drones I see as a tool. It's a phenomenal new tool, but it's more the stories behind it. It's more how they're being used, what companies are doing with these essentially data gathering, data collecting tools, how are they being used in conservation, in energy and delivery. So yeah, I saw them as being something that needed a change, had this public perception. When I was learning to take my license, I did the classic thing of buying a drone, chucking it up in the air, enjoying it, not knowing the rules and the regulations at the time. And I guess with my helicopter background, at some point I thought, maybe I should learn to do this properly, because this is a piece of kit that's doing 30, 40 odd miles an hour. And I'm pretty sure I know there are other vehicles in the sky, and lo and behold, I was right. So I think just bringing a bit of that awareness to people interested in flying, to the public who might not have a clue about what it is, but just getting that media soundbite of they're negative, they're bad, they're going to crash into Gatwick, etc. And trying to say, look, we're not denying that there are people out there not using drones properly, but the majority of the industry really are taking this seriously. They're doing things responsibly. They're using these tools in an innovative way, and in a way that's going to have some real world impact.
Yeah, it's like cyclists, for example, isn't it? Not all cyclists jump the red light, but there are a lot of cyclists out there. You can't focus on one or the other. You have to have both sometimes for it to all come together, I guess.
Exactly.
And with drones and UAS, I suppose, in itself, you need to have the people that push the envelope too far the wrong way, so the regulation can fix that issue and make sure that actually eventually it will disappear, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so. And it's something that I really hope Airwards as a platform can achieve, is we're not for profit, we're independent. I don't come from a competitor. I don't come from a regulator. So I like to think I don't have this agenda that's I'm bringing to the table. And I really see the importance of having drone regulators, end users, drone companies, private companies, winners, just all coming together in a platform like Airwards to say, okay, where's this industry headed? How can we take examples and learnings from different verticals in the industry? So having a few of the judges pull their head up and just go, okay, I'm in search and rescue, but wow, I had no idea this is going on in conservation, or I had no idea that this type of technology was being used to capture data, is just a real, I think, testament to the need for something like this.
Yeah, and I don't want to use the pun, but I do want to use the pun, because I'm going to use the pun, but the sky's the limit when it comes to drone use. And I hate using puns like that, but I think in this instance, the sky's the limit is a genius one, and I'm going to use it. So there you go.
I can give a little, I would be amiss if I didn't give a shout out to Scott Johans from Elsight, who connected with me a few months ago and has coined, very kindly donating, and I've got him on words, so this isn't putting words into his mouth, but he had, what was it? The sky is no longer the limit, it's the destination. And
very deep.
I know. He's kind of said, look, as a donation to Airwards for your first year, you can have it, you can have that soundbite. So yeah, keep your eye out for a few more of that tagline coming out in our year 2.
Wow, with that level of philosophy, I think I need to have a lie down. That's knocked me sideways. So I want to talk about Airwards a lot, but there's a couple of things that strike me about you that are quite interesting, Airwards aside, and that is that you used to live in Brazil, in Bangladesh, in Switzerland, in Hungary, and of course here in the UK as well. So when it comes to looking at UAS digital platforms as well, and drones, inverted commas, for one of many different areas that you could see with technology, has living in these different countries opened up your eyes to the strengths some countries have, some weaknesses that some countries have, and how far behind they are developmentally?
I think it was a phenomenally privileged upbringing, and my my father was Foreign Office, and so yeah, it's been a mixture of amazing, and I think I took it, for want of a better phrase, in my stride for just not realizing anything different. So a lot of people used to say to me, didn't you find it hard moving country every 2-3 years, moving house pretty much every year? And I was like, well, I didn't know anything different. So you just waved to your mates and that was it. And you went on and, made some new ones. But it's definitely given me an insight, I think, into, I sound like this, my parents are both British, but I've got a British passport, but I didn't really live in the UK for the first pretty much 13 years of my life.
Wow.
So that having that international outlook, most of my friends live abroad. Again, fortunate enough in these international schools to be in a class of 12 with 11 different nationalities, 6 different religions. So I think it's given me definitely an insight into the power of the global community, and it doesn't really matter where you're from. I think people do incredible things. People are using tools at their disposals for the betterment of themselves, their communities, their countries, their areas of the world, whatever you want to do it. So yeah, I like to think that I've brought a little bit of that into creating Airwards. We've managed to cover off a ridiculous array of countries, from Madagascar to South Korea to America to England to New Zealand as championing winners. Our People's Choice had Mexico, India, Nepal. So I'd really like to think that it's something that people can say, well, hang on a sec, I didn't even know drones were being used in Nepal. What are they being used for? Who's using them? How are they being used? And almost these jumps, I guess, where friends of mine who live in various countries in Africa have kind of said that a lot of the places out there just jumped the whole high street bank decade or 2 decades and just went straight to mobile banking. And we're seeing that, I think, in a lot of, quote, developing countries where they're skipping out a lot of what the West has done and just going, well, hang on a sec, why are we going to build roads up this mountain, which will cost a lot of money, take a lot of time, when we could use this drone technology to deliver supplies a lot quicker, and we don't need to go through that cycle. So
it's quite exciting, isn't it, to think that of how not just drones, but how technology is used around the world. It is really interesting to think that the development and advances of one nation or one company or 2 companies or 5 nations or whatever can lead maybe nations that are slightly behind in the developmental terms. They can just jump it. They can make that bridge very, very quickly because all the groundwork's been done. It's quite fascinating to think about it. And I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest with you. So it's nice to suddenly have that picture in your brain, and it does give you a bit of a eureka moment, I think.
Yeah, and it's really shone through for me with, in particular, these People's Choice categories that we had. So again, without going into lengthy, boring criteria detail, people were not allowed to nominate themselves. So you had to be nominated by someone else. We then went through, you had to have a certain amount, various other bits, but you got shortlisted down, and then it was almost nothing to do with Airwards, and it was you putting out there your community, your network, believing in what you do. And that's something that I really hadn't planned for that would get so much support. And a post from Kim James from Women in Drones, just congratulating the winner of our Rising Star UTAM and his company and the Nepal Flying Labs, which is part of the We Robotics Flying Labs network. And just, this post from her, completely unprompted from us, from anyone else, and just really going through about her story and her engagement with Nepal and what they're doing, projects out there using drones, and especially with COVID. So I think it's just so eye-opening. I say, even for me, I'm not a veteran in this, but you take some quotes from the judges and they were saying, I want to change my job. What I'm judging at the moment, these are just incredible. And I'd never have known that they were happening in the Philippines or Brazil or South Africa or Nepal or anywhere else. So yeah, it's something that I'd really like to see championed, is this, I'm going to use so many buzzwords that my old business partner would kill me for, but cross-pollination of ideas for what's happening off the Isles of Scotland. How can that be applied to the Maldives? Or what's happening on the plains of Australia? How can that be applied to the middle of America? what's happening in mountainous Switzerland, how can that be applied to the Drakensberg in South Africa? Just being able to cross over with those type of user cases and say, hang on a sec, that would be applicable to where we are and what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve, and just bridging those connections would be phenomenal. Kind of a 3-5 year plan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Consortiq. At Consortiq, we believe that, with drones, there's always a better way to do things. We train to instill confidence in those at the controls. We consult to ensure safety and mission success. We serve to help organizations quickly and efficiently achieve what's most important to them. Find your better way today. Visit consortiq.com for details.
When we come to Airwards, then you've said what it is really, that it's an awards scheme to recognise champions of the drone industry, really, of UAS, of people that are doing things slightly differently. They're innovating, and I think it's really important that we have a look at maybe a couple of the different people that won, that entered into the competition too. You've also kind of highlighted how it works, really, but can you give us a bit more of an idea of the process of how the competition works and how the winners are selected? I know there's the competition which requires voting from the public.
Yeah, there's two main aspects. The one you've just referred to is the People's Choice, which were 5 categories. So we had external advocacy, SME, rising star, industry impactor, and disruptor. And then we also had 16 main categories where somebody submits their user case. So you do put yourself forward, and that goes through our rounds, our review, our qualification, and then the judges, our 26 judges, review each application or each submission against our 3 criteria, and then our 3 sub-criteria within each of those. So yeah, the 16 winners of those categories were judged by the industry experts against whether they were innovative, responsible, or they had a real world impact. And so, yeah, they've been kind of recognized by their peers, so to speak. And then the People's Choice is more of a popularity, is the work you're doing hitting, inspiring people, and it's up to you to put out to your network to get votes.
Yeah. And this is all very nice because it is highlighting people that are doing fantastic things, organizations that are doing fantastic things, and also companies as well that are thinking outside the box and coming up with different use cases and things that you wouldn't normally associate with UAS and drones. So over 10,000 votes in its first year, and 65 different individuals and companies went into the People's Choice Awards. That's a phenomenal uptake for the first year, isn't it?
Yeah, and I got asked the other day, were you planning for that? Hell no, was I planning for that? I don't think you can. So we broke our platform, basically. So they kind of said, oh, you didn't tell us you were going to be this popular. And I was there going, no, I didn't think we were. So it's just been really, I've overused the word humbling, but I put out a post on LinkedIn actually just to try and describe it today of, it's been an amazing 9 months, and the thing that's really stuck out for me has been the support, and not only the support for what we're trying to do, but also the support for each other. And I think, 10,000 votes on the 65 shortlisted nominees for the People's Choice, and just all the winners, you see their networks, you see people who they work with reposting, saying, fantastic that this company's been recognized for the work they do, they've well deserved, etc. So really real feel good, I guess, outputs on companies that are doing amazing work. Fundamentally, we're just a platform. We're not pushing people to do that. We're not trying to create a kind of accreditation. Oh, now you have 50 points, and if you have 100 points, it puts you into this level or anything. We just want to say, look, did you realize fawns were being rescued with the use of drones? Did you realize that whale research is happening? Were you aware of the STEAM drone coding that's going on in South Africa and all over the world? Did you realize they're being used to stop wildfires, to help defense? We do have a counter drone category as part of our things, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but it was something I didn't want to be shying away from, the belief of drones shouldn't be, used, allowed everywhere. They're also not necessarily applicable in some situations, just like in the car industry. If you have an 18-ton, or I have no idea, so I'm completely, forgive anyone who's listening who's super into their trucks, but you wouldn't have a long wheelbase 20-wheeler truck lorry going over a bridge in the Cotswolds. It's just not going to get you there. You might have it going to a depot outside of a town, and then smaller units coming in. So drones to me are also not necessarily the go-to tool for every given situation, but it's amazing just finding out how they're being used to better situations or to provide more data to these industries in search and rescue, delivery, training, all over the place.
I think collaboration is something that's used a lot when it comes to innovation, and something like Airwards will really promote collaboration, because if 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 30 names are on this list, then those 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever it is, people will look at each other and they will maybe start conversations. And these collaborations, they can really promote advancement, can't they?
I'd really hope so. Yeah, it's something, again, coming at the angle of where we're trying to be that independent, not-for-profit and connecting people. It's an award competition, but hopefully there's less of the competitiveness and more, you can have representatives from DJI, Skydio, Parrot, all the big manufacturers coming together and saying, okay, we're all big competitors, let's put that aside, and we can all recognize that what this company is doing is phenomenal. It deserves to be recognized for it. And then, exactly like you said, having the judges that we had just say, I didn't even know that existed, having a few of our partners involved saying, hang on a sec, what's going on with educating and public perception and in that country, and how can we learn from each other? So yeah, I did think you were going to say 5, 10, 15, 30 years in the future, but yes, you bring all these companies together and individuals, and hopefully the only thing you can do is foster collaboration.
Yeah, well, collaboration will certainly bring that time period down, that's for sure. So we've talked really about Airwards and what it is and kind of how it works as well. And if anyone wants to find out more, the best place really is to go onto your website, airwards.online. But could you pick out a couple of winning candidates, or even not winning candidates, that really stood out for one reason or another?
I think it's going to have to be the winners. So I actually stayed back from any involvement. I was probably doing this a bit too, taking the belief of being independent a bit too far, but I didn't want to be involved in all the submissions right at the beginning, because I thought I would then have a little bit of a skew on either a project. So when I'm talking to people, I just wanted to try and keep back away from that. So it's going to sound like such a cop-out. Honestly, the variety of where we're coming from, if we were doing one industry and saying, okay, we're recognizing everybody in the construction industry, but we're going to do it in different countries or different types of construction, it'd probably be a lot easier to answer that. But because we're covering 16 different verticals, you just get unreal user cases for each one. You're kind of like, a couple of judges saying we want to change our jobs for saving black tip reef sharks in the Philippines. Like, this is amazing. And the use of technology and enabling flight and operational management with autonomous drones to collect data, or the airspace management BVLOS trials and testing that's going on, that is really going to be instrumental in allowing drones to kind of catapult themselves forward. Having this beyond visual line of sight is going to be necessary to enable things like delivery. So no, absolute cop out. There isn't one that stands out. So I urge all your listeners to go to our website. We've got a winners page with all the people on there, and I'm stopping myself from saying vote for your favorite, because I think that's probably an OTT on awards for awards. But no, check us out. If you have a favorite, then do let us know, and let us know why, because looking into year 2, we're really trying to identify these user cases. And this year has just been back to that support comment, I wasn't expecting the hundreds and hundreds of people to submit. I don't want, even in 5 years' time, to be having 3,000 user cases submitted. I would prefer to be focused on that quality. And yeah, the quality of entrants this year, considering we were such an unknown and we didn't exist 12 months ago, has been brilliant. So yeah, go on, let us know if there's projects you know about that you think should be recognized. Email us, hello@Airwards, tweet us, drop us a message on LinkedIn, and it means that we can engage, hopefully submit a user case next year.
What I really like about the website is a brilliant tool, by the way, to have a look and read up, because when it comes to the awards page itself, it's all nicely separated too. You've got all the different categories there: technology, operations, supporting services, industry, field, giving back, and there's people's choice on there too. But what's really nice is you can read up on all of the winners. So it's the diversity that is so exciting. Software, there's enabling flight and operational management awards winner. There's, when it comes to conservation, you're saying as well, there's a conservation winner. There's consultancy, there's training and certification. Every single area seems to be covered, and each one's got a very unique story. So it is worth having a look at. And I do urge our listener, multiples of, but our listener, to go there and check it out for themselves. What about the next competition then? We mentioned 10,000 votes. I presume you want to grow and grow and grow. Is there a structure or a plan of how you're going to do this, or is it word of mouth and doing things like this podcast?
I think both. I think getting awareness through just engaging, collaborating with partners is, absolutely brilliant. I enjoy finding out probably a bit too much. I probably need to get a bit better at not trying to talk to absolutely everyone individually. But like I said, we did try and put in a plan. It isn't something detailed, although the team would probably argue that I do get way too detailed. So the first year was all about building ourselves, having it inaugural, and credibility was really important, making sure that people who won believed this was credible. It wasn't just Richard Nichols awarding you. It's actually as far away from me, and it's the 26 judges are awarding you, who are industry experts, leaders in their field, and then it's your network and the public voting for you. So I'd hope that we've achieved that, and that it is something that people are really proud of being recognized for. Next year's about continuing that. We're not going to shift too much in terms of, we're going to keep most of the judges and keep the structure of our process, but I really want to start identifying, and going out there and, as I've just said, finding networks, collaborating with people who have far more on the ground knowledge on what's happening with them, and just get them to submit. Say, look, we're hoping to be a platform for you to be recognized. We are doing a massive shift on our process to make that first hurdle, a lot easier. So it isn't 2-hour application form, it's 10, 15 minutes and should be accessible. It's one of our EDI drivers that I'm working with a phenomenal chap called Frank Starling on, about making what we're doing accessible on so many different forms. So if you're a 1-2 person outfit in Zimbabwe, or a $10 million turnover company in the States, you're able to apply to this, very little barriers. And also just seeing people who you resonate with, someone from your industry, someone from your country. So yeah, it was very quick. Someone did point out, you don't have a South American judge. And I was just like, amazing. Who do you know? Get them to put themselves forward. You're right. I don't have a South American judge. So, how can we be bringing in people like that? So people in South America are going, oh, I really admire X person in the industry, and they're a judge. Wouldn't it be amazing to have my work judged by them? So, having David Attenborough judge you if you're a naturalist, that's the one, not the other one.
Well, he might judge if you're a naturist.
He
as
might.
well.
There
he
we go.
might,
Yeah. Having him judge you, it almost doesn't matter if you win or not. It's having someone like that be able to review your work is just as powerful. So yeah, that's where we hope to get to next year. And years, what was that, 3, 4, scale up, continue that credibility, really sticking with that ethos. We never want to be something that a sponsor comes to and says, well, I've just given you X amount of pounds, I want the award. It's just not what I'm going to partners or corporate partners with. And likewise, people's choice things, judges can't be put forward. If you won last year, you can't be put forward. So really trying to make it something that's transparent, fair, and has this strong underpinning ethos to it.
Yeah, well, I really look forward to in 2 or 3 years' time when the award ceremony is in Vegas, and I look forward to my invite when that happens. And if you really want, I'll present it for you as well, very, very cheaply.
There we go, job done. Right, you heard it here first. Okay, everybody, that's it. I've got it in writing.
It's an open-ended, very, very cheaply though, isn't it? So, what about the application process then for the next competition? When's it all open? When are people are submitting? When does that happen?
So we are going to give people a bit of a break from all the content and everything else this summer, but we're going to carry on hard at work with getting our year 2 judges ready, getting ahead of the curve. We reopen September the 1st with announcement of judges, announcement of our new processes. So keep an eye out for that. And then December the 1st, submissions are going to open for you to do year 2. But as I said, there's going to be a slight little twist and difference just to make things hopefully easier. So we're collaborating with winners of this year to find out how they found the process. We're already last month been collaborating with judges about how they found the process and just making it something that's more improved. So September the 1st and December the 1st, put it in your diaries.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the website, airwards.online, air as in up in the air, wards as in forwards, .online. If you go on there, on the right-hand side, there is a register for updates tab. So just you can click on that. And I think that's a good way to keep across it all, really. And if you want to find out how Rehkitzrettung Schweiz managed to rescue 1,410 fawns in 2020 in Switzerland using drones, then go to the website too, because as Richard was saying, all the use cases and all the winners are on that website, and you can read all the stories and see what the judges said. It's a fantastic site. It's got loads of information, and hopefully will help you when you come to apply for it for 2022's competition itself. Before I let you go, Richard, it's been fascinating to chat to you, but I was having a look and I wanted to just sort of grill you on this one as well. Seems that you've got a bit of interest in fitness and in horse racing as well with some of your investments too. Is this a side passion?
Yeah, that was what I was talking about earlier, being fortunate enough to be at the kind of forefront of some platforms that launched when I was at Vitamin London, and we would help design, build, develop these platforms, apps. And so the Racing Manager is the horse racing one, and that's still going really strong. They're just launched in France, and that's all about bringing technology to a new audience of horse ownership. So also trying to democratize it a bit in the fact that multiple people could own one horse. Yeah, it's again a brilliant platform just to bring technology to an industry that is very traditional, is very old, doesn't use online services a lot, and it's just about being able to manage your horse.
Well, with a surname like Nichols, I know you spell it differently, but with a surname like Nichols, then horse racing's got to be in there somewhere, hasn't
it? I couldn't not. There we go.
There you go. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you, Richard. And if anybody wants to get in touch, you have mentioned it already, but if anyone wants to get in touch with you, find out more about Airwards, what should they do?
Go on the website. I think you've done a much better job than me of pointing people in the right direction. So thank you for that. Engage with us on socials. We're pretty much on everything. We've also launched some community gifts, again, just to try and have some fun, give people some drone related gifts that they can use on their own social platforms that aren't company branded. But just, I'd really like to hear what people think of the winners, to be honest, and if they have projects that are similar, if they would love to see something like that happening in their country. So yeah, get in touch with us on them.
Absolutely. Well, I've just given you a follow on Instagram, so you can check them out as well. It's just type Airwards into the search box, or it's _Airwards for Instagram. But go and have a look for yourselves and get in touch with Richard and the team. Richard, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast.
thank you very much. And it's, like I said, a privilege to be part of this. I got my PFCO with you guys, and it's great that things like this are happening and we can just share some of this news. So thank you for having me.
Well, there you go. My thanks to Richard Nichols, who's just given us all the information really on all we need to know about a very exciting awards competition for the UAS industry. And if you'd like to find out more, go to airwards.online. This podcast was brought to you by Consortiq. That's Consortiq with a Q at the end, .com. Here to help you take your drone program to new heights. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want to listen to other episodes of this podcast, just search the Consortiq website or go to your normal podcast provider. I've been Bryn Lucas, thanks very much for listening, and until next time, stay safe.